All right, my name's Danny O'Donnell. I'm with BloodyElbow.com, and my guest today is 2021 Glory Fighter of the Year and the King of Kickboxing, Rico Verhoeven. So, Rico, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple quick questions for you. Really appreciate your time today. So, obviously, you had an amazing 2021. You were the Glory Fighter of the Year, and you ended the year with one of the best kickboxing fights I've ever seen with Jamal Ben Sadiq. Now that you've had a little bit of time to reflect on 2021, what are your thoughts on how you performed that year?
Yeah, I think I'm overall pretty happy with the sport results. Of course, it was a crazy year just to be alive.
Yeah.
So, like, through all the pandemic and all the crazy restrictions and everything. But in the end, also, I think it gives you more of a reflection to be thankful for everything that we are able to do in our lives. Like we go out for dinner and have meetings and be with people, and I think we take it all for granted. Everything just flows, and it is what it is, and we just do it. And now, when you're not able to do it, then you feel like, oh shit, that's different. It's a big change. And like my first fight was a tournament fight in the beginning of January, and it was in an arena without any audience, so no people, and that was different. That was different. This was like a little bit of smaller arena, so like around 10 to 15,000. It would be packed normally, and now it was just totally empty. And yeah, they gave a whole different vibe, and like again, you get more appreciation for yeah, when the arenas are full of people and everybody's cheering. And yeah, so I think overall was like you said, for on the sports side, it was an amazing year again.
Yeah, it was an incredible year, and like I mentioned, you had that amazing fight to end the year with Jamal Ben Sadiq. He was a late replacement for Alistair Overeem, but I know originally when you talked about that fight, you weren't super thrilled with your performance. So have your thoughts changed on that fight as time has gone on?
No, I think my thoughts are still the same, um, because I'm my own biggest critic. So, and I think that's the only way to stay the best, because yeah, you just have to be tough on yourself. And I look at what could have gone better, and where I make mistakes, where I made mistakes, and where I don't want to make the mistakes next time. So, and for the rest, of course, I'm looking. Okay, this was pretty good, and this was nice. But in the end, that's not what's important to me. To me, what's important is where and how can I improve so I get better the next time.
Absolutely. So what were some of your main takeaways from that fight that you think you'll bring into 2022? Because obviously the fight with Overeem is probably on the horizon, that's looming. So is there anything you took away from that fight that you think can really help you going into the next year?
Well, I just think every fight brings his own lessons, and you learn from it. You learn from it. You grow as a fighter, as a person, mentally, physically. So I just like to evolve every time, and I think that's what this fight did again. It helped me evolve, and it helped me, yeah, to stay grounded and stay focused on what the task at hand is. And when you lose sight of the task that's right in front of you, you make mistakes, and you get too anxious and you get too excited, and yeah, things happen. You make mistakes, you get hit, but in the end, we get back up and we continue. So that's what we do.
Yeah, you definitely showed you have the capacity to take hits and come back and still perform at the highest level. So now it seems like Overeem is probably going to be your next fight, or at least he's going to be one of your opponents in 2022. He's a huge name here in the U.S. Obviously, he has an amazing career in MMA. He also had a
Yep.
great kickboxing career prior to his committing fully to MMA. So what are your thoughts on Alistair Overeem right now? I know he had a few stumbles in MMA. He ended his career in the UFC with four wins out of his last six fights, had a couple losses. So he hasn't done too bad, but he's also kind of lived and died by the knockout. He's had some great finishes, but he's also been finished. So what are your thoughts on him as an opponent overall?
My overall thoughts are I'm happy. I'm happy with the opponent. I'm excited that he came to kickboxing, and I think it's a good name to add to my list. So, he's a legend. He's a living legend in combat sports, so in kickboxing and in MMA, and he performed overall pretty good. At certain moments where he had to perform, he wasn't there, and other moments he was. So I think he got like all the championships except for the UFC. So he had K1, Strike Force, what else was it? Dream, whatever. So he did a lot. He really has a lot of championships on his name. Not the UFC, that actually is the highest one with the best fighters in it. And now he's going to try to do it in glory. And we're going to be there to stop him. So I'm excited, I'm happy, and I can't wait to hear a date.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible fights. We'll definitely be watching closely for the date to be announced. So you did have an MMA fight in 2015 where you showed obviously great striking, but you also had some good grappling skills. You were able to mount your opponent and finish him from there. And I know
Yeah.
you've talked about in the past that Glory offered you a really good contract around that time, and it just made sense to stick to kickboxing and pursue a full-time career there. So have your thoughts changed at all on potentially pursuing MMA or even boxing? Because I know there's been talks of that as well.
No, like the pursuing in MMA, like for me, I don't know, doesn't make any sense. Like back then, just was good to try and see if there was anything inside of me that tickled to get that off the ground. But yeah, not really actually. For me, when want to become the best at something, you want to you need to be able to fully commit to it, and it needs to be your ambition and your passion to be the very best at what you're doing. And if that's not the case, it doesn't make any sense to change, of to switch.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at that. And boxing, I also did a pro boxing match. I like boxing. I enjoy it a lot, and I implemented my boxing training into the kickboxing training. So yeah, who knows? But like MMA is just a totally different sport than like maybe people from the outside would say that they're not like fully committed and into the combat sport. Like, but it's fighting, right? Fighting is fighting, but it's totally different. So for me, it doesn't make any sense.
Awesome. So one thing that we're seeing now a lot of days is a lot of MMA fighters trying to start a career in boxing or in kickboxing. And I think a lot of that has to do with guys like Jake Paul, who obviously he's making a lot of money. He was famous on YouTube, and then he transitioned to boxing.
Yeah.
And he's really kind of turning combat sports on their head, really calling out Dana White about fighter pay and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on what Jake Paul's doing, both in terms of his like boxing skill and also in terms of what he's doing on the other side of the sport on the business end?
I love what he's doing. I think he's doing an amazing job, and he's just like being an upset in the whole combat sports and the way he's approaching it, and it's more entertainment. It's always been entertainment, but now it's been even more entertaining because he's not a boxer from his origin, because he's a YouTuber and he did other stuff before, but he really committed to training and put everything into boxing, and you see him perform. So I take my head off to him for that, because I think still he has the balls to step into the ring, commit to what he's doing, and in the end he's winning. So hard work is paying off. And then it's, yeah, but he's not fighting the best of the best. No, but he's not the best. He's coming up. He's getting used to how it is to be in the ring, and he's just like fought like 3 or 4 times, I believe. So yeah, what could we expect from a guy that had 4 fights? So I think he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, people will say stuff like that, but you're right. He's just slowly increasing the level of his opponents. He's taking on MMA fighters who
Yeah.
have increasingly better striking skills. So, what do you think about some of his opponents he's faced so far? Obviously, he fought Ben Askren, who didn't have a great striking background, but Woodley was a guy who in the UFC was able to use his hands to knock some people out. So, would you agree
Yeah.
that he's increasingly stepping up the levels of his opponents as he progresses through his
Yeah.
career?
Yep. 100%. He's slowly stepping it up, making it more difficult for himself. So yeah, I just love what I'm seeing. And of course, there's a lot of trash talk, and that's part of the game. That's why it's called entertainment, right? So,
Hmm.
because for me, I don't believe he's a bad person. So he talks a lot of shit, but yeah, that's part of the game, right? And that's how you provoke people and get people in their emotions, and that's exactly what you want to happen when they step into the ring. They need to get into their emotions. You need to get them angry, so they blow themselves out, and then you can finish him. So
Yep, just like he's been doing. It's been crazy.
yeah,
So, as someone who's fought in both MMA and kickboxing and boxing, what advice would you give to someone who's had a career in MMA who's looking to transition to a boxing or a kickboxing career? Because I think a lot of people from the outside looking in might see a good MMA striker and just say, "Oh, this guy can box," or "This guy can do really well against the top kickboxers." But that's not always the case. So, if someone
no,
wanted to transition from MMA to a professional striking career, what advice would you give to them?
I think, like I just said, the best advice I would give is it would really need to be your passion and your ambition to be the very best at what you're doing. And if it's not, it's going to be really tough. Because if money is a motivation, it's the wrong motivation, and you will never get there. You know, and then because I've been champion for 8 years already, so 2022 is going to be my ninth year as a champion. So, and then they get the question, Rico, how do you stay motivated? Like I said, I just want to improve every time, every day. I want to learn, not just as a fighter, but as a human being, as a person. I want to grow. I want to be better than I was yesterday in every form and every way possible. So I think that's the best way to approach a transition like that. So never transition money motivated. Of course, that's like the thought that's behind it, and it's somewhere in the back of your mind. But if that's your main goal to chase the money, then you're not gonna get it, because then it's gonna run even harder. So the way I approached it is with being the best. Being the best comes with a price tag. So with that being said, as soon as you start becoming the best at what you're doing, your payment goes up because you're the best, and they have to pay for quality. So I think that's a chain reaction that happens.
Yeah, that was the beautiful thing about your approach to kickboxing. Like you said, you wanted to stick with what you were passionate about, and it really shines through, and you were able to put on amazing performances, got you to the top of the sport, and hopefully now you're getting the paydays that you deserve.
100%.
That's awesome. So obviously we talked about the Overeem fight. That's probably one that's going to be on the horizon. Is there anything else you're looking for in 2022? I know you've always been the type of fighter who just accepts whatever glory offers you as long as it makes sense. But is there anyone in particular or any particular plans you have for the rest of the year?
No, not really. Not really. There's some nice things coming up that I can't say too much about yet.
No hints?
But as you can see, I'm smiling. I'm happy about it. So I got a lot of cool things coming up. Like I've been saying all throughout all those years, I want to slowly get into acting as well. So I got some nice projects coming up this year. Another cool thing coming up, which I can't announce yet, but it's gonna be huge. So yeah, like I said, life has been treating me really well. So I can only be very thankful and blessed that I'm able to do everything I love to be doing.
That's amazing. And we're really thankful for all the fights that you've put on. You're an amazing fighter to watch, and you put on some
Thanks, I
incredible, some of
appreciate
the
that.
best fights in kickboxing ever. So we really
And
appreciate
that's the
that.
thing.
And
That's I think the best thing people should know is that if you do what you love to do, so many more beautiful things cross your path because you're so ambitious and so passionate and so focused on what you're doing. And if you just love what you're doing, other things will just cross your path, and you can just say, "Oh, this I want to do, this I don't want to do," and then, I think that's the beautiful thing of what I've been doing throughout all these years, and so many things I was able to do, and then people I got to meet through the beauty and the love of the sport.
That's amazing. That's great advice. And just want to congratulate you again on the 2021 Fighter of the Year award for Glory, and just wish you the best of luck. Thank you again for all the fights you put on, and thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, and hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, hope to talk to you again soon.